conclusions.
If you're going to point fingers at somebody, the first thing you need is fingers. You have to have your fingers to point at people. And listen,
Well,
I guess you can go like that if you unfortunately have lost your fingers.
yeah, we got a guy who comes up with the fingers that we need. If we want to point a finger and we need a finger in a hurry, we got a guy.
Right, except he's a religious guy, so he won't give you a middle finger. He won't. He says he's religiously objected to giving people middle fingers, but other than that, he's as reliable as the Morton Salt girl.
And would an embryo be a human finger?
I think it's smaller than a human finger, isn't it?
It's got to be in there somewhere. There's got to be some sort of genetic signal to make the fingers, or as they say, phalanges.
Where's Louis Prima when you need him?
He's taking a break. He'll be back in 10 minutes to do his version of Satisfaction.
Well, I want to, I mean, this is a perfect time for Louis to come out with, I'm just an embryo, and everywhere I go, people know the part I'm playing. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, Mikey. Good morning, Michael Knight down there in rainy Pasadena, California. How the hell are you?
It's Freaky Friday. In fact, it's a Fractious Friday.
It is.
We pay homage one more time to the real Don Steele. We're just waiting for the rain. 2 more days of rain today and tomorrow are going to put us over the top for saturation of the Hollywood Hills, of the coastal areas, especially all the valleys and canyons that lead to Highway 1, and those have been closed. Every time it rains now, we close those because the runoff is extraordinary. The slides continue. Palos Verdes Peninsula is soaked and dangerously threatening its several neighborhoods. So we've had about all the rain that we need. But I got those windshield wipers. If you remember, I paid $85 or something ridiculous for a pair of windshield wipers. Based on the forecast, the summer, it said, look out, there's going to be plenty of rain. And for once, and people who live in LA know what I'm talking about, the forecast is right, because they say, we're expecting rain tonight, never gets past Santa Barbara. Storm Watch 74 is on tonight. We're interrupting regular programming to bring you the Storm Watch. Oh, nothing. Not even a mist. But this winter is a little different. When they say it's going to rain, it actually does.
Wow. Well, and it seems to me, and again, I'm not watching all the time, but what I can see from up here, and I do have the app that tells me when this car chase is going on. It seems to me that police chasing cars around Southern California has taken the place of weather.
It's actually taking the place of baseball. Who needs Shohei Ohtani?
Like the number one thing that people watch is always, I mean, I can go to YouTube and it seems like there's always a cop chasing somebody, usually at 35 miles an hour.
We like to get the neighborhoods involved too. When the perpetrator always returns to where he was born, it's somehow a ritual. And the people in the neighborhood are waiting on the sidewalks. And when he slows down, they run out and touch the car, or give him a high five, or give him a beer as he passes by.
Yeah, sandwiches. I saw somebody out there with a tray once. He got In-N-Out burgers on it and a couple of shakes. I mean, yeah, you're running a little bit. You drink this.
You work the neighborhood. You walk up to the crowd and say, "Can I pay?"
There was one guy, one canopy. No, canopies. There was one guy one night that they were chasing. They chased him, and this guy was going all over the place. And he actually was on a freeway, and he went off the side of the freeway and went down the hill, that the freeway is built on.
Right.
He pulls into a Denny's parking lot and gets out of the car and goes inside the Denny's.
I know what he ordered, a patty melt with extra crispy fries.
He's in there for like 5 minutes. And, and the guy in the helicopter is getting all excited, because they hire, they have weathermen. Well, now they have pursuit men. And these
Yes.
guys get in the helicopters and they go, oh, oh, look out. You know, the pedestrians have put at danger here. Look out. Oh, look out. He just went through that one dead red. You know, they do the play-by-play for the chase. And the guy is outside and he's looking at the car and he's saying, law enforcement ought to be here any minute. The green Honda's in the parking lot. He even parked in a disabled parking space. And he
Oh
doesn't
God,
have
no.
it on the windshield.
That's a
5 minutes later, the guy comes out of Denny's, gets back in the car, takes off.
Well, I have a car story for you that you can use on your drive time show.
Okay, good.
Investigators, according to the LA Times, investigators have finally come up with an answer for why the theft of Chevy Camaros is soaring all across Los Angeles County. An increasing number of high-powered vehicles are turning up on street takeovers, and the Chevy Camaro is the favorite among them. And they're being stolen because, and they arrested a 16-year-old. They discovered that a handheld device they believe is used to create cloned ignition keys for muscle cars is easily transformed into a way into any Camaro. In less than 3 minutes, you can, with the right program and hardware, you can generate a replacement key for any Camaro, especially the new ones. Put the key in the ignition and drive it away. And that's what's been happening all over LA County, a county of over 10 million people, where the number one stolen vehicle is now the Chevy Camaro because of the handheld device that the thieves can use to just make a key, put it in the ignition, and drive away.
And the people at Kia are very happy to hear that because they've been number one for a long time. Because you know, they built all those keys without an anti-theft device in the ignition.
Oh dear.
So you could, if you didn't buy a certain trim level, you just got a regular key. It was easy to steal those cars.
Well,
Same thing really with any. I mean, there are devices that code keys. Same as there used to be in the old days, you know, locksmith, you know, people would get a hold of the key machines.
Oh, yeah.
And they go to a parking lot and they take somebody's key and make a copy of it and then go to their house at night and steal a car. It's a little more high tech now, but basically there's a device that they use to program these keys that they can catch the RFID signal that is given off by the key and do what they want with the car.
Radio frequency identification. And
evidently, the Chevy people have decided that they wanted to make theirs easy to do. So it's also why they tell you, or I don't know, many people tell you. I don't know who tells you. I tell people, don't leave your keys in the hallway because somebody can actually come up to your house. Your RFID signal will go to the car outside. Like I can open and close the car that I have outside, the Toyota B4, whatever it is. I can never remember the name of that thing. The B4 IDFD 1020.
It's the Toyota BC, not the Toyota AD.
Right. It's just why can't they just call it an Impala? Why can't they just go with the Toyota Impala? Why do they have to go with the B4 FD? Let me get it right. I don't know why, because I'm old, I guess.
It sounds more like a performance car if it's just got a code number.
No, it's just an electric car. The B. Oh, hang on a second.
And they never tell you what the B stands for. It could stand for.
It's the BZ4K, I guess. I would have thought it would have been much more interesting if they just would have named it, like I said, the Impala. Or something along those lines, you know? They just name them. They give them these code numbers, and, you know, the problem is there's so many numbers that it just starts to get BZ4X
No
is
wonder.
the car, the BZ4X. And this is a car that they've co authored with Subaru. So there's
Partnership.
a Subaru Solterra is the Subaru version, and then the BZ4X is the Toyota version.
So they're using a
And
Toyota frame or a Subaru frame.
I think it is. I think it's all built, but mostly built by Toyota. It's an electric, so who knows whose battery it is. I think it's the Subaru battery technology, but Toyota is one. I think it's their only pure electric vehicle. Yeah, I think it's their only pure electric. I'm trying to think if they have another pure electric out there, and I don't think so. They have plug-in hybrids, but I think this is the only pure electric because Toyota sat back a little bit. Anyway, these thieves now can buy these units, put them in a computer, and program their a key to open up your car and take off with it while you're upstairs sleeping.
Then they do a street takeover, do wheelies and figure eights in the street, ruin your tires, probably screw up your transmission, maybe damage the interior, and then leave your car on the side of the road. And when they need another Camaro, they just find one in the neighborhood. Oh, look, here we are in Whittier, California. I wonder how many Camaros there are within the sound of my voice. They pick
Yeah.
one, they pick a nice one, the one that they have in a color that pleases them, fashion a key, and drive that one away.
Well, that's a big thing now. Is the the street takeovers. And for people who don't know what we're talking about, I don't want to say just young people, but it
Pop-up
seems
party.
predominantly young people. But people of ill repute will get a car, steal a car, or they'll use their own cars in many cases. Go to a street corner, advertise it on social media, a nice wide street corner. Hundreds of kids will descend down on the street corner, and then they'll start doing, donuts and wheelies and whatever they can do with the car to show how the car performs. And these usually wind up with the cops coming and arresting people. Now they've come up with a new law in California. I think it's I don't know if it's all in California. I know it's in Stockton. They've started it in Stockton. The problem got so bad is that they're using the only weapon that they can, and that is that the cops come and they impound everybody's car.
Everybody.
Anybody who every car that's parked within a certain distance of that roundup, that hoedown there, is impounded. And the sheriff in beautiful Stockton, I believe it is, has said, I was reading this article that spelled this out, that said, not only are we going to impound the cars, but we got these two guys that are on half disability pay or whatever. They're on desk duty. We're going to send them down to the pound, and we're going to have them with the police dogs that we got with our federal funding search all of these cars.
Of course.
And see what we can find in the way of crack or cocaine,
got to be a roach under the seat somewhere.
marijuana, or whatever it is that we can charge you for, and then we're going to charge you for it.
Have you ever done a donut in a high powered vehicle?
Have I ever done? Yes, I've drifted. I've done, moved the car around like that. I mean, I don't get a big thrill out of it, to be honest with you. As a matter of fact, my stomach gets kind of upset.
Well, your car's out of control, so any number of things can go wrong. But if it's not your car, you don't really give a damn.
Well, I give a damn because it's easy to lose control of the car. It's easy to drive it through a crowd. It's fairly easy, especially in inexperienced hands. And I can't imagine that somebody that's 16 years old has a whole lot of experience. But what this is leading to is something that's a big argument in the automotive industry right now. And that is there's legislation pending in more than one state that cars in that state after a certain date will have to be equipped with shutoff switches so that the police
Can shut it off from
can shut
outside.
your car off. Now,
Wow.
it's a limited amount of that already built into GM vehicles with OnStar.
So
They can
if you're gonna go on a freeway chase, get yourself an older car that doesn't have a shut off switch.
right, right. There's it's not that many cars out there that have it, but some cars are already equipped with um, kill switches.
So if you're taking the Glendale Freeway number 2 down to Highway 5 and you're going to connect, the CHP will turn off your car as you're on the transition ramp, and you'll be no longer on television. You'll be in custody, which is
Right.
it's
They
a
have
different show.
the ability to do it with some cars now. Many people want to legislate it um into existence for all cars that are sold after a certain date. And it's interesting because part of the kickback against it, part of the back blow, part of the reason that people are upset about it is that, of course, the automotive dealers, as soon as they got wind of this, heard about this, and actually this was, I believe, developed more for them than anybody else, said, that's great. We can't wait for that to happen because we will have the ability, if you don't make your payment of your car, to shut your car off.
Wow. Remote control.
And you'll sign a paper that says we are completely within our rights that if you don't make the payment by X date, and we have to, that we'll just shut the car off and then come and get it. You can't use it anymore. And there are many people who don't like that idea.
Now, the kill switch can be activated while the perpetrator is driving down the Hollywood freeway.
Right.
How do you divine it so it only turns off the car you're chasing and not all the cars on the freeway of similar make?
Well, most, if not all, cars now, and in the future, all of them will have transponders in them. Most of them have had to be manufactured with some type of transponder since, I don't know, the late 90s or early 2000s, which in essence is a little black box.
It tracks everything you're doing and speeds
And that black box tracks everything you do, and you have the ability to take that information down off of it. Now, with nav systems, it's easier for them to pinpoint an exact car. You have all these things now, like OnStar, where you can just press the button on your dashboard or on your steering wheel and say, OnStar, give me directions for the LA Coliseum. And the OnStar will track where you are and download directions to where you want to go. And it'll just, boom, you just get them up on your dashboard. Well, that same technology, also it can be used to shut your car off because they can now pinpoint from satellites a particular car.
Also, that information can be used against you in the investigation of an accident if you were operating above speed limits or otherwise out of control.
It already has been used against. There was a murder case in Florida several years ago where the guy, the murderer, said that he was nowhere near the murderee when the murder was supposed to happen.
Au contraire, Pierre.
But they subpoenaed and the court approved pulling the black box from his Mercedes-Benz, and it showed him that he pulled up right next to the murderee's car at the time that the murderee was murdered.
That wasn't in Vegas, was it?
No, it was in Florida somewhere. I believe Miami. And so, between that and other evidence, I guess that they found, it said, hey, We got you. And again, there's an uproar about that among car people because, again, people are saying, well, wait a minute. You know, there's an expected right of privacy here. You know, when you buy a car, you're expected that it's private, but
It's not.
that notion went out the window with the Soviet Union.
I think that expectation of privacy is no longer an expectation.
I don't. Yeah, I tell people all the time when I'm talking and rapping and flapping with people is, you know, it used to be if you did something on the internet, expect it to come back to you. Now, whatever you do, it's outside of your house. Expect it to be either filmed or taped or looked at or witnessed or recorded in some fashion.
Yes.
That's the society we now live in. We live, in essence, we live in the Soviet Union of old. And we see people that say there's nothing wrong with that. The same people who said years ago, when all of this crap started back in the early 90s, who said, well, if I'm not doing nothing, what do I have to worry about?
Just
Well,
wait. We'll give you a list of things you can worry about.
We'll give you a list of things. There's no such thing as a private citizen anymore. If you have a dude with a cell phone and he's walking down the street and he's taking pictures and he takes a picture of you, he's well within his rights.
You're in a public place.
You're in a public place.
You mentioned Miami, and I don't know why I flashed through this. I haven't thought of this in years. But one of my roommates' father was a lawyer. We were at his office, and there was these couple of questionable-looking dudes in loud suits that appeared to be slightly mobbed up. I couldn't overhear all their conversation, but one guy did look at the other one and say, "You want to go after hours or what?" And that phrase has stuck with me through the years because it just revealed the milieu this fellow lived in, the world that he inhabited, the life that he enjoys, the reason that he gets up in the morning. So he can ask his friend the important questions of the day. You want to go after hours or what?
Boy, when was I at the after hours place the last time? Was in Chicago. When we were back there.
Well, did you go or what?
Oh yeah, no, we went. There was no war or what. We're going to after hours. They call them cop bars because they're owned by cops.
They got the special license.
No, there's no special license. It's in somebody's garage.
We're talking about Chicago. What special license?
No special license.
We're open. You're coming in.
You pay your special license every week when you send an envelope down to the precinct captain. That's how you get your special license.
Did you get your envelope or what?
And but they used to, they were all over New York. After hours places. I don't know if they have them here in Seattle or not. I've never been to one. I suspect it's somewhere, somehow, some way. There's a warehouse down south of Market, south of the Dome, or whatever, where this stuff goes on. But it's
after hours in Seattle though is 8 to 9 p.m.
Yeah, that is the problem. Is that you can't get a hamburger after midnight in Seattle. I've never seen a place for a supposedly hip city. I've never seen a place that closes its food down earlier than Seattle.
That's all.
I went to order a pizza last night. We were watching. What movie did we watch? Oh, You People. Have you seen that movie?
No.
Or seen that? It's on. I think it's on Netflix. It's got a ton of people in it. It's Jonah Hill and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and it's actually turned out. It started slow. turned out to be a great movie. It's about a black family and a white family mixing up with each other because the kids are going to get married, and it's Eddie Murphy is in it. Does a great job playing the fathers. Like I said, there's a ton of people. And anyway, so what was our movie? I mean, it was 8 o'clock, and we went to call Little Caesars to get a pizza.
No way.
Closed. We're not taking online orders. We close at 9.
So they have the ability to take online orders, which they don't take because they're going to close in an hour. How many pizzas can you make in an
I'm
hour?
up the block. So, and it's funny because I always use Little Caesars instead of Domino's, or I try to, because they have a wonderful program where they send a big truck out to shelters, and the truck has a big kitchen in it.
And they
And
make
they got
pizza.
the different homeless shelters around the country. They have more than one truck, I'm thinking. And they serve people pizza. They go to different shelters, and they, and so
In-N-Out Burgers has a series of vehicles like that. They'll come to your event if you want, and they make the burgers right there in this giant Winnebago.
yeah, Dick's does it too. But this is that this just goes to homeless shelters.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't go to events or anything like that. This is a program that they have developed that strictly goes to shelters and feeds people. And so I thought that was a groovy thing. I didn't know about it until I saw them one day show up at a shelter that I was dropping stuff off at in Pittsburgh. And I asked the guy that was driving the thing, what's the deal here? He said, oh, yeah, we go to all these different shelters, and we go all around the country, and we got 3, 4, 5 of these vehicles, and they go all over the place feeding people. It's part of their corporate, thing. And so ever since then, but the idea of a pizza place closing at 9 o'clock at night, but it's not the first time. I mean, I've used Uber Eats a number of times to try to get food at 8:30 at night. I usually eat a little later, and most of the stuff that you want besides fast food is closed. There's closing.
Wow.
Yeah. Food delivery here is not a late night job.
Get your dinner at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, Mikey, I mean, I know I'm older and everything now, but when I was growing up, we didn't leave the house to go out to dinner until 8 or 9 o'clock at night.
It's late. That's late for a morning man.
Well, I wasn't doing mornings at the time, so it was a perfect time. So, but it was, you could go out and find places open till 11, 12 o'clock at night. Besides the 24-hour place, I mean, the Chinese restaurants in Manhattan, downtown, they're open all night.
And they're doing business, too.
You can't get in. They're full. So, that concept of closing early, trying to get something to eat at 9 o'clock at night, you can't find a place unless you want to eat McDonald's or Burger King or something like that. It's like a foreign concept. I mean, even in San Francisco, there were places that were always open either 24/7 or late. I mean, Tommy's joint was always open. You could get a meal there until 2 o'clock in the morning. 1:30. And then you had the great places like Zim's and Doggy Diner. Zim's was a more of a sit-down place.
Right.
Doggy Diner or Clown Alley, those places were, 24/7. You get something to eat there anytime.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. I think the concept of a later dinner in a brasserie is fading. You probably have to be in a big city, and even then, you have to be in the right big city.
Yeah, Yeah. Well, see, I don't know. I don't know about LA. I know. I remember times when I've been in LA. It's been tough to find places that are open, late. But I went
Cantor's
to Harry Road
Delicatessen.
at 10.
Cantor's Delicatessen is 24/7.
It's still open.
You can get matzo ball soup any time of the day or night.
Yeah, there was another place that I went to that was like in Century City, I think, or something like that. That was open late. I don't remember if it was open 24/7, but it was
Copper
a
Kettle,
Jewish place that was open pretty late.
a gathering spot.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what. Well, that's what they really are. I mean,
Mhm.
when you go back and think about places like the Carnegie Deli or the Stage or Sarge's or Katz's, I mean, those places were gathering spots.
I'll meet you there.
See, after the show.
Right.
So if you went out to see somebody at an 8 o'clock or a 10 o'clock show, after the show, you went out and you went to the Stage or the Carnegie, and there were people there, and the place was jammed.
People of
And
all walks of life. Some in tuxedos, some in evening wear, some in t-shirts and shorts.
exactly. So anyway, I don't know how we got all the way over to.
Oh, after hours or what? That's how we
Yeah,
got
there
there.
we go. I'm easily distracted. You have to excuse me. Um, so yeah, there's a whole after hours society out there. Now, I got to say that probably in years more recent, it's probably been reduced because of things like shootings and all the other kind of insane stuff that goes on after
Spirit,
midnight that young people definitely don't fear all that much.
what's the theory about nothing good happens after midnight?
Right. Right. Well, I can't say that. Now I could say that because I'm slow and it's hard for me to get out of the way of stuff happening.
I
But in
saw
the
it. I
old
saw
days,
it. I saw it coming, but I could not avoid it.
it was just walking with your head up. It was like make sure you're keeping your eye on things.
Yeah, learn how
But
to walk down the street.
yeah, yeah. But for some reason, and I was going to say, well, there's mass shootings in this, but there was always shootings in these places. There
They
was
were the only
always
place.
somebody would come in with a gun
They were the
and
only
shoot
place
the place
open.
up. Say
Of course,
again, Michael?
the shootings were there because it was the only place that was open within 5 miles.
Yeah, or they were trying to scare people, or what the who knows what the logic is. But I mean, I remember, from back in the '60s and even the '50s, hearing stories of different nightclubs that people went in and had gun battles in for either one guy didn't like another guy, maybe somebody. There was all sorts of crap that went on. There was all sorts of. As long as there's guns, there's crap.
Alcohol may have been involved.
Yeah, yeah, probably. Although I don't know, I mean, sometimes I wonder if it's just a class of really mean, destructive people that do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, someone who might steal your Camaro with a handheld device.
Exactly.
By the way,
Um,
have you driven a Camaro recently? Well, what's the Camaro got to say for itself these days?
they're going to stop making them this year. It's a car that it's kind of a sad story with the Camaro because it's never really. I mean, they brought it back some years ago. It was gone for a while, and it was just never as good as the Mustang.
Yeah, never got them. Didn't have the magic.
It never in its second iteration. When they brought it back, it just never quite because what they did is they half stepped it. They half made it a retro car, but they half made it tried to make it a modern car. They said they weren't going for retro. But people that wanted to buy a Camaro were looking for that old Camaro spirit. And they certainly got it. I mean, they were fast. The LT1 Camaro is one of the fastest things I've ever driven. I mean, it was an animal. But
Just didn't have a market.
Well, there's a smaller market. Part of the problem with the Camaro is it just the design of the roof. You could hardly see anything out of it. They designed the roof so low that it was you couldn't see the quarter. Out. You had to use your mirrors or a camera to see out the back. The back was high. It just wasn't a well-designed car. It was a fun car to drive. Except that
weird
for those
visibility.
of us who like to see where we're going,
it
wasn't too much fun.
Or where we've been. In fact, that's my complaint about the Corvette too. In some of its recent designs, you can't see out of the car.
Yeah, they make them like that. I mean, that's part of the allure, I guess, is that it's got to be low and sleeky and kind of I don't know.
Like it's been chopped and channeled.
They want the car to sit low and have a mystique about it, and mystique usually means less visibility. Although I thought when I drove the Corvette, I didn't think the visibility was as bad as it was in previous generations of Corvettes. What you did lose out of it was because the engine is behind you, the rear behind the seats is higher.
Right.
And so you lost some of that visibility, but they gave you like 9 million cameras. So you just turn the cameras on, I guess.
Yes. That makes up for it.
But it doesn't really, Michael, because I never feel confident with the cameras. I do turning around and look.
I want to see it.
I want to turn around and I want to look and I want to see if somebody's walking that way or somebody, whatever's going on. I mean, I don't know. I'm getting. I guess I'm getting old. I like to see before I slip it into reverse and start going, because you never want to hear that. Oh.
And speaking of getting going, the San Francisco Giants have a bad report to issue today regarding their starting pitching. 5 of their starters, 5 of them, are either out with arm problems, including 2 Tommy Johns. One guy's got an aneurysm in his arm. One guy's got a injury to his side. 5 of their starting pitchers that are veterans and men who are expected to be pitching for the Giants this year. For the most part, none of them will be back until the All-Star break. And they didn't trade for other pitchers. They didn't allow for that. So now they're scrambling to get just enough guys to start. They have a bunch of kids that can really throw, but so does every team. And they don't have seasoned starters. And 5, man, that's 5 that are out of the commission. Only one of them will be back by opening day.
Well, you know what that means, Michael? That means that the Giants will have to take, the Giants are in luck, actually, in a way, because there has been a, shall we say, a slow market
for
Major League free agents.
Very slow.
Slow to the point where some people are saying that maybe there's a little collusion going on here. For people that don't know what collusion is, go Google collusion in 80s, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about.
Now the owners lost that case, so they should be very cautious how they proceed.
Cost them millions of dollars. Let's see. Blake Snell Cy Young Award winner, Jordan Montgomery, both still on the market.
Snell's the one being mentioned for the Giants.
Yeah, I mean they're going to have to come up with some money for him, but I know there's some other. There's a ton of others. Those are the top guys that are on. Bellinger signed with the Cubs. He's not a pitcher though.
But it's an example of he thought he was going somewhere, and he's back with his old team.
Yeah, Yun Jin Ryu is available. Lefty, Michael Lawrenson and Mike Clevenger. Shouldn't Clevenger be pitching in Cleveland? I mean, not for nothing, but it seems like now pitching for Cleveland, Mike Clevenger. I think he was in Cleveland at one point, wasn't he? With the White Sox. So there's still pitchers out there that have tremendous upside to them.
And it's strange that a valuable pitcher would still be on the market because valuable pitching is the key to advance, and you can't take that step without a solid pitching staff. So I hope the Giants get Snell and just pay for it, because the 5 guys that you already signed are useless to you because they're not healthy. And you knew that 2 months ago. So what have you been doing?
Well, they were working in a clothing store. They were down there at Robert Hall's, and then once they finished their clothing season, then they came into camp and said, "Well, it's time to get operated on."
How'd you hurt your arm? Folding those 2 pair of pants. You try it. It's murder in there.
It's hard. It's hard picking up a hanger with 2 pair of pants on it. It's inhuman. So
there goes your rotator cuff. Not to mention the Sammy Senzabelt.
Sammy Senzabelt, Sonny Senzabelt is on the move. So that's about the extent of who's out there. I mean, maybe the Giants have some people down at AAA that are going to get promoted quicker than usual. I'm never a big fan of promoting a pitcher up from AAA before they're ready, because
they're going to have to make some moves, because the Giants still have not won a preseason game. They're 0-5, I think.
Well, I never put much stock. I won't say any stock. Much stock into spring training until the last week of the spring training season.
Yeah.
I just think that guys aren't playing. They're still working things out. There's just a lot of stuff going on.
Plus, you have
B game.
You got 2 games a day, and your infield is not playing with a full contingent of starters.
Yeah, I know that there are people who are already upset that I was looking at a couple of the different fan things on the internet, and people are already upset about the Giants. They're already upset about the Mariners. There's already Met fans are inconsolable already. It's here's 1 week into spring training, and everybody's looking to fire everybody. So
Shohei Ohtani got married, but didn't tell anybody. Even the Dodgers didn't know he was getting married.
Well, would you tell the Dodgers if you were going to get married?
They want to stay in touch with him because they pay him so much money every week not to pitch and only to hit, that they can't bring themselves to say, "Shohei, please, no more private life stuff. Don't buy a car. Don't buy a house. Don't get married. Talk to us. We'll help you out."
Well, what business is it of theirs? I mean, seriously, they play him to play baseball, right? They pay him to play baseball. If he wants to go get married, you think that Joe DiMaggio called the Yankees before he married Marilyn Monroe?
I think he called Mickey.
Yeah,
Say, hey, kid, I'm thinking of it.
Mickey and him didn't get along. I don't think he called Mickey. He always saw Mickey as a threat.
And he was right.
To a degree, yeah. A lot of people say that when Mickey Mantle hurt his leg on that sprinkler in Yankee Stadium, that the saddest guy in the house was not DiMaggio.
No.
Joe had an interesting side to him that well, it was interesting.
He learned how to play baseball as a San Francisco SEAL, and his two brothers, Dom and Frankie Vince, played there as well. They once had the all DiMaggio outfield, the AAA San Francisco SEALs.
Did they ever all work at the restaurant at the same time?
No. San Francisco Italian waiters are a different breed, as you know. They're rude, they're efficient, they're colorful, they're characters, but they are not forgiving. If you don't know what you want when they come to the table, you got a problem. And they don't take questions like, I'm really hungry, but I'm looking for something that's light. What can you do for me?
I tell you to go down the street to the Hungarian place.
Yeah, get some goulash.
Get yourself some goulash and egg noodles. Boy, that sounds good. I haven't had goulash in a long time.
No, you're not going to get any at Tarantino's or DiMaggio's.
No, or Sabella's is a
or Aliotto's.
Yeah, Sabella's is a Fridays. The Fridays, they're no Applebee's.
No, really? On the wharf and Applebee's?
On the wharf.
Can you get fresh crab at Applebee's?
I doubt it. But you can get them baby back ribs. You know, I mean, not for nothing, Michael. But you live in Bumpstock, Tennessee. All right, you're living there, and you save up your job from your job at the plant for years and years to take your wife on this romantic trip to San Francisco. You've always heard about San Francisco. It's a great place, and even though all the politicians say that all people just run around crapping in the streets and everything, no, I want to go to San Francisco. I've heard it's a beautiful place. They got a wharf there, and they got seagulls that are standing on the posts, sitting there with the wings going like this, you know. And so you save up your coins, and you get in a plane, and you fly to San Francisco, and you get a nice room at what is it down there? The Hilton on the Wharf, and you're 2 blocks away, and so you're in great shape. You walk down to North Beach, and you walk along Columbus Avenue, and you walk down Grant, and you hear the sounds of the beatniks coming out of some places, and the smell of fresh baked bread coming out of other places, and you walk and you walk, and you jump the cable car on what I forget the street there, and that it goes along. But you jump the cable car, you take it down a few blocks to the wharf. You get off the cable car, you walk down that block toward the end, and there in front of you is on the street is refrigerators with crab and lobster and fish and shrimps and prawns and all that stuff. And you walk by, and they got the walk-along cocktail that you can get.
Oh, yes. And
you're standing there, and you're looking at the neon lights, and it says Fisherman's Grotto, and it says, I forget, the Aliotto's, number 9, and, this place and that place, and boom, and they're all stretched out, and it's just like the postcard.
And you go to Applebee's.
And you take your wife's hand, and you say, all right, hon, let's go to Applebee's and have dinner.
I'm in the mood for a patty melt. Put that crab out of your mind.
What the? I mean, really?
It's not the only change coming to San Francisco. Union Square is closing its Macy's store.
No.
and 150 others across the nation. Macy's is going the way of Gimbals, Vinnie.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Who goes to the downtown Macy's anymore? Who goes to downtown San Francisco anymore?
As Yogi Berra said, it's so crowded there, nobody goes there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but between online retailers and the perception of downtown San Francisco and the shoplifting
And the car vandalism.
and everything else that goes on, and they want $50 to park your car in a garage. Nobody wants to take BART downtown because it's, people are getting stabbed on BART all the time. Law enforcement is, I don't know, I don't want to say it's non-existent because I think the people that are there are doing the best job that they can, but they're overwhelmed. They can't move homeless people along, so they can set up a tent right in front of Macy's. There's nothing that anybody can do about it.
You know, according to a recent documentary, I wish I could remember who did it. I think it was CNN, maybe Anderson Cooper, doing one of his personal, what's the story with Houston, Texas? What's the story with San Francisco? And the problem in San Francisco is 5,000 people. The homeless population in San Francisco is not dramatic, but it's enough to make a difference in the city. So 5,000 people are holding 900,000 people hostage in a situation that makes life difficult for everybody 24 hours a day, as long as those 5,000 people need drugs, money, and maybe whatever's in your trunk. And it seems to be a manageable problem. One high rise can hold 5,000 people. One extraordinary step of social inflexibility. You live in the high rise, you can no longer live in the street. You go there or you go to jail. You're part of the solution or you're continuing to be part of the problem. You can't be part of the problem. You can't live on the street. You can't be down on the Embarcadero. You cannot do that. We'll give you a place to live. You'll be clean. You'll be safe. There'll be security. No, you cannot bring your heroin in here. Well, I'd rather live on the street. No, the street's no longer an option for you. We're taking people off the street and giving them a place to live, giving them a future that they can be proud of, something that they can build their life again. And it seems like a doable project if you're only dealing with 5,000 people, considering what it takes just to bring a crowd into a Warriors basketball game every night. What, that's close to 20,000 every night. They get them in, they get them out, they feed them, they sell them popcorn, they give them a place to park their car, they give them a basketball game they can watch. And then when they leave, they have to step over the sleeping bags of a couple hundred of the 5,000. And that seems to me a problem that can be fixed. Or am I Pollyanna?
Well, I trying to see what the point in time count is, which is the
and then the people always say, well, I feel safer on the street. I don't want to be in a high rise. I don't want to be victimized by the rest of the people that are living in the high rise. But it's a revolving door. You don't get to sleep on the street anymore. You don't get to do your business on the sidewalk anymore. We're through with that. We're giving you a place to live and we're going to manage your recovery, but it's not going to be on the street and you're not going to be a problem for the what I would call normal citizens. You're an abnormal citizen. You've gone too far. You live in a sleeping bag, you do heroin, you poop on the sidewalk. We're past that now. We've experienced it. It doesn't work. It's not going to get any better until you find a way to change your life. And we're going to help you with that. We're going to give you a safe place, and we're going to insist that you do it our way because we watched you do it your way, and that's not working for us or the society that you live in.
There are, yeah, and actually the count is dropping in San Francisco. There's a 3.5% less homeless in San Francisco now than it was in 2019. Right now, the count is 7,754. Yeah, you would think, and out of that 7,754, 3,357 are staying in a shelter. So you would think that 4,000 to 5,000 people, it would be fairly, I don't want to say easy because I don't think anything is easy when it comes to this, but you'd think there would be a way to do something with these people, to either entice them into some kind of housing or some kind of rehab program. I mean, they spend millions and millions of dollars. I mean, 4,000 homeless people, you probably could have bought each one of them a house on the peninsula.
Yes, exactly. And of course, one of them is going to get Vincent Hallinan for his lawyer and sue. I was happy on the sidewalk. I had my life the way I wanted it. You can't live on the sidewalk. That's a public thoroughfare. You have to amend your future plans. We're going to give you a place to live. And there's a proposition on the ballot in California called Proposition 1, which purports to be a plan to heal the sick, get them back into a valuable lifestyle. If they're mentally ill, to get a medication, to give them a place to live, to get them off the street, and to turn their life around officially and with professional care. Now, that's an expensive job, but it can't go on like it is, because anytime you have a major city, even one that's as rainy or as cold or inhospitable to people living on the sidewalk as San Francisco might be, there is an element of society that has to say, we can normalize this, but it's going to take a works project. We're going to have to insist that people do this. This is not arbitrary, and you can think about it. We'll be back in 2 weeks. No. Pick up your sleeping bag, get your belongings. We're to go into the high rise, and that's where you live now. If you're back on the street, you got a problem. You may not live on the street any longer. And we'll work on your drug problem or your mental problem once we get you in a place where we can supervise your existence and have you off the streets, have you become part of the solution, no longer part of a daily problem that the city has to struggle with.
Why not? And I've always well, you know, part of the problem is that living in San Francisco has become completely unaffordable. I mean, how do you, if you're homeless? Well, I'm talking about two different problems here. Let me talk about the first one. Why, if these people have a disease called addiction
or mental problems,
why not just give them the drugs? Put them in a place and say, you stay here and your needs will be taken care of. You'll get your dose every day. You know, you'll get a warm place. You get a room and 3 meals a day. And you line up at 9 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, you'll get your shot.
Because you can't have 4,000 people all going cold turkey at the same time living in a high rise.
I'm not saying go cold turkey, Michael. I'm saying give them the heroin.
I agree with you. You can't just give them a pat on the back and hope that it's all going to be better. Not when you're addicted to opiates.
I don't think it's going to be better. I don't think better is going to happen for a lot of these people,
because so many of them have a combination of mental
Right.
twisty mental situation, complicated, underdiagnosed, untreated, and the combination of a mental problem mixed with a heroin problem is no joke.
Right.
That takes medical
So
expertise.
why not change our philosophy on this and look at it and say, and I don't know that it's the right answer. I'm just asking the question. Why not say to these people, I often joke around. I say, we ought to give them Montana. We ought to, put a fence around Montana and tell every junkie in the country, every speed freak in the country, you go to Montana, you go in, you get your fix every day, you get a shack to live in and meals, and but if you leave, you can't leave. You have to stay there. If you leave, you get prosecuted and you go to jail for your crimes. Why not do that on a smaller scale? Why not have a place where, and I wouldn't put them all in one place. I would say you have to have certain areas. But we took the Presidio and we gave the Presidio to developers. And we took Treasure Island and gave Treasure Island to developers so that they could build housing and .com, high tech places where people who make exorbitant amounts of money can live away from the homeless. Why didn't we give that land and put up clinics in that land and put up places in that land where these people can go? And if they want, if they want to live the rest of their life as junkies, let them do it. Stop this thing when they have to commit crimes or
Is
they have to
anybody
live on the street.
using methadone anymore? Is that still is that a factor?
Yeah, but again, it's a thing where you
You got
have
to
to
have
have the will to
and you have to
want
have
to
it
do it.
you have to have it every day. You might as well be taking heroin.
Yeah, if you have to have it every day like that, why not just say to these people, here's the dope. You don't have to steal. Here's the dope. Here's a room. If you want help, if you decide one day you've had enough of it, we got the services for you. We'll get you right to
Your rehab.
a rehab, a place that'll help you get off of it. If you want to go through that hell of doing that, we'll hold your hand. But there are people who don't want to go through that hell. And so they go out and they steal and they rob and they sleep on the streets. And they become either criminals or at the very least a nuisance to the greater society that doesn't want to live their life like that.
Doesn't want to step over them.
Doesn't
Downtown
want
looks like
to
the
step over,
timberline.
they want to help them. I mean, I believe that I've been to enough auctions and enough events and have worked in enough homeless situations to know that there are people that want to help, people that want to stop this problem. They give millions each year. But maybe, just maybe, we're approaching this in just the whole wrong way. And maybe there are souls out there that can't be saved. As much as we as Americans would love to think that we can save these people, but you have to have a desire to want to be saved.
Or be able to carry the concept in your mind that living your life this way is not right for you, that there's a
Right.
better way.
And maybe there are some people who are so ingrained in that lifestyle that the only thing that keeps them alive is the idea that they're going to get up in the morning and score heroin or score crack or whatever it is their drug of choice. And you can keep them clean for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and then one day, boom,
It's over.
they walk by a bar, or they see an old friend, or they see some guy out on the street dealing, and it's all over. I don't know, Michael. I just think that the way we've been doing it for so long is not working.
Well, your idea is good in one respect, and it's an important respect. The guy living on the sidewalk on the Embarcadero has got to come up with the money to score his drugs today. He doesn't
Right.
have the luxury. He doesn't have the luxury of thinking about it or planning for the future, or maybe something else will happen. And there starts the cycle of crime and break-ins, and also dealing with the guy who's selling heroin to you, but it's also laced with fentanyl because it's a cheap filler.
Right.
So you're robbing somebody's brand new Camaro to get $5 worth of value on stuff that is going to kill you, and you consider that an important day in your life because you scored that day. You're all right. You're not going to be sick tonight. Now, if you take the value of the heroin out of the equation, then you've changed the whole cycle of it, and that's bad for the dealer, but it's much better for the city. And I'm using San Francisco as an example, but it has to apply to New Orleans, Chicago, or any other place.
Yeah, I think any city where there's a drug problem, which is every city.
Right.
I just think we put so much emphasis on cleaning up the homeless and cleaning up the problem by taking the drugs away.
That
And I'm not,
creates a problem.
and I'm not one of those people who say legalize all drugs. I think there's days when I'm sorry I ever did any kind of drug.
Well, you're not legalizing the drug. You're providing us to take the crime out of the
Right.
out of the
But
structure of the
these
society.
people are hopelessly addicted. I don't, maybe out of 7,754, 100 of them are going to go one day, walk into an NA meeting or go to rehab, and they're going to stop doing it. But the other 7,744, 7,654 are not. They're going to break into cars. They're going to rob people. They're going to mug people. They're going to shoot people. They're going to sleep in front of your door. They're going to build encampments in the parks and take the use of those parks away from people. We're going to continue to charade that we're not afraid of the homeless people. We'll go and sit on a bench next to them. Give me a break. I mean, at some point, you got to be truthful here as to what's going on.
And in the meantime, they can commit petty crimes in shopping malls, in drugstores, in supermarkets, and not be prosecuted for it.
Right. So what are you doing? What are you doing here? Give them the drug. Give them a place to stay. Make it clearly understood that if they leave there, or if they go and they catch them, that they will go to jail and they won't get out right away. And and if we can commit somebody for being mentally ill, if we can commit somebody to a hospital for having a communicable disease, if we can commit somebody to a hospital or to a facility because they have typhoid, then why the hell can't we just do something similar with drug addicts, with known homeless drug addicts who everything else that we've tried
Fails.
for most of them, not all of them, there's some of them that, but for the most part, everything we've tried doesn't work. There's more homeless people on the street today, nationwide, than there are ever. Now, yeah, We can work on affordable housing. We can work on a system where maybe the government covers people who don't have their first month's rent, or, whatever it is, the people that are in that situation, people that are living in their cars because they can't get enough money to get an apartment somewhere.
Or if it's a Camaro, they're living in your car.
Maybe we can do that. But this continued cat chasing its tail of homelessness is just not working.
And the combination of someone with a drug problem and a mental problem is not an easy patient to deal with.
Right.
But you know what that person understands? Free drugs. You don't have to translate that. You don't have to make that understandable. Come with me. Free drugs. You got to live here. You're off the sidewalk. You have a toilet and a shower. Clean up, get your shot, and think about what your life's going to be like from now on, because no more street living, no more petty crimes to sustain your habit. Your habit's taken care of. Now you have a place to live. You've got to understand that this is your chance to be part of the game. Now, some of them, as you know, with the combination drug and mental problem, will never, ever adjust to a better life, will never, ever adjust to someone helping them. They can't conceive of it. They can't understand it, and they're never going to be a part of it. But they can't be the one. You can't use that problem to not address the problem as a whole, saying, boy, you don't understand what you're dealing with. These people are sick. Yeah,
we go with this Salvation Army view that we're going to rehab everybody.
You're going to be happy, and
there's an answer for everybody.
And you're going to be an insurance salesman.
And what we don't admit is that there are some people that that the only answer is stay high till you die.
Yep.
That their life is so far out there. I won't say they're not salvageable, because I truly believe that every human being is salvageable in some sense, manner, or form.
But have they ever been diagnosed, which is a serious and subtle diagnosis of what chemical problem that they're dealing with? If it's schizophrenia, isn't there a manageable dose that'll help them with the medicine that they're currently not even taking?
Listen, there's people that go into hardware stores and take cans of Krylon spray paint off of the shelf, spray it into a bag, and huff it because they want to get high. They'll paint their lungs because the only thing that matters to them is getting that buzz that goes on in their head.
You're right.
When they sniff that stuff. That's all that matters. And it is hard when you are compelled to it, it is hard for you to get away from it. It takes a kind of strength that a lot of people don't have.
It takes professional care to get you out of that.
It takes a strength.
Maelstrom.
We don't all have that strength, especially today. In the old days, you'd walk into the room and you'd look there and you'd see the biker guys and you'd say, well, these look like tough guys, so I'll hang with them. But as a society, we've untoughened ourselves enough that we victimized ourselves enough that the tough people are fewer and far between. There's many more people who'd rather go on social media and complain about what their problems are instead of fix them.
My problem is your problem. You are my problem. You people, you street livers, right. You drug addicts.
There's a drug called egotism.
Yeah.
And when they write down that something's happened to them on social media, they get I've been in that spot. I know that spot, tada. I'm not saying that this is all people, but I'm saying there's a certain segment of society that does this stuff.
Nobody's given me a place to live. Nobody's given me free drugs. Nobody's given me an apartment in downtown San Francisco.
Right.
I have to work.
So we need to. So I think, and I've come to this conclusion over thinking about this for a long time. I just don't think it's working. I
Stop
don't think
doing.
anything we do
Yes.
for many people. Now, again, it could be the 100, 200, 500 people that want to change their lives. And you have to give them easy access and opportunity to do that. But for the guy and the woman who's sleeping in the street and the only thing they're thinking about is getting their next fix, and they're gonna pop the next guy that comes down the street with a wallet bulging out of his pocket and maybe shoot him for the $39 in cash he has in his pocket so that they can go and score a lid or whatever it is they scored today. I don't know. Lid is, I guess, reefer. I don't think reefer is. You can't let that go on.
And you can't keep trying the same thing over and over again, which we know has a long history of failure.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think, well, just lock them up. Well, that's not so easy. There's due process, and you don't want the prisons full of 5,000 drug addicts. They're not criminals in the common sense. They're outside of society, and you can't cure that problem. You can't address that weird segment of society by pretending that they're normal people who are going to listen and regard what you're saying and say, you're right. I am going to get off the street. I am going to live in the apartment downtown. I am going to get straight. I am going to go to rehab. And then I'm going to go to law school. You'll be proud of me. That's the scenario for exactly no one currently living on the street.
Yeah, we need to refit. I think we need to read that. And I don't know why smarter minds than mine. I mean, I'm not the brightest guy in the world. I don't have any kind of degree in human nature or sociology or whatever it is that's associated with doing this. I'm just a guy who looks at this problem and says, is it that simple? Are we just, or is there a whole machine behind this whose money and jobs and everything else depend on people being homeless?
No, that they're outside of the normal measurement of society.
Right, but what I'm saying is, are there people who have a vested interest in seeing homelessness not come to an end? Because it means their jobs. It means their funding for their programs, their different things that the government, we spend all this money, it goes into somebody's pocket. Somebody's making a ton of money here.
Somebody's making the money touting a program that doesn't work.
We're pissing all this money away, and we're not getting anything for it. Hey, I'm all for spending to help the homeless, but I'm getting to the point where I just don't see any of the money that we're spending on homeless people, neither here, nor in San Francisco, nor in Pittsburgh, nor in New York. Now, New York has become a special situation because many of their homeless people are people that were sent to New York now by the governor of Texas.
And you're dealing with immigrants who, by most reports, are here to get a new life and a new job. They're not here to live on the street.
But in the public's eye,
it's all of us.
One's the same as the other. They're sleeping on the street.
Yeah, it appears to be the same, but it's a very different problem.
Right. So we're not gonna advance as a society, I don't think, until we take care of the problem. It's part of why we're mired in this abyss that we face all the time. We face every day.
I wish I could see into the future, 5,000 years, to see an advanced society either on Earth or somewhere. And does that advanced society with comfort and technology that we can't imagine affecting their lives and for the better, do they still have a percentage of people who can't get it, who can't understand it, who have to live on the street, who fall into drug use, who are captivated by mental problems? Is there a society in the future where that doesn't exist? And it seems unlikely that that would change totally, that there's always going to be people, by virtue of who they are, how they feel, or what's happened to them, whether it's their own fault or just they're a bag of chemicals that have gone wrong and they're just psychotic or schizophrenic.
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to be here in 5,000 years, to be honest with you.
Somebody's going to be somewhere. It won't have to be our society, but I wonder if there's is there an advanced society that everybody can play. I don't know the answer to that.
I somehow get the feeling that this society will be that what we see here now will be a cornfield in 5,000 years, or something way different.
So instead of a Supreme Court, there'll just be a cornfield?
I don't know what they'll be, Michael. I just wish that one of the things that I really wish is that before I shuffle off of this mortal coil, that we fix this, that we come up with a better way to fix this problem. And I know it's a Freaky Fractious Friday, and I hate to be maudlin about it. I hate to be sad about it, but I just look at and I think about just the homeless people I drive by when I go place, the people on the side of the expressway, side of the freeway, living under a tarp. How do we let that happen as a society?
Well, the society is not structured in any way to prevent that from happening or address it when it does happen or stop it as it begins to happen. We just let those things go. And that is one of the things that has to stop. The society has to take those people in hand. It's not going to be nice. It may not be friendly, but here's your place to live. Here's your regimen for drugs. Here's your future in terms of what you have to do for meetings and for treatment and for diagnoses. And it's this way is the only way. Just throw me in jail. Nope. Jail's no longer an option for you unless you commit a capital crime, a serious crime. The idea of going into the CVS store and just stealing your breakfast is over. That's never going to happen for you again. This is how you're going to live. This is where you're going to, a lot of your social freedoms that other people enjoy are no longer yours to enjoy. You're here to get your free drugs and live in this place and keep it clean. And here's your home and here's your new life. What you make of it is up to you. We're going to supervise it. We're going to direct your drug intake. We're going to address your mental problems with medication and treatment. But understand, number one is that old life of yours that when you woke up this morning on the street, that was the end of it. It shall be no more. There's only 5,000 of you. You don't get to run the city for the rest of us.
I don't see a willingness on anybody's part, whether it be in San Francisco or Seattle or Vancouver or LA or anywhere.
And it could be like a works project where during the day you clean the streets, sweep the streets, clean the streets. You used to poop on the street, not anymore. Now you're in charge of cleaning the streets.
Well, I'll believe it when I see it, but all I know is that it's time. It's time for somebody somewhere to stand up and do something besides bullshit talks about we got to do this and we got to do that. We got to do something, and what we got to do is maybe toughen up a little bit.
Maybe well, Donald Trump's solution, of course, is when the person goes into the hardware store to get his Krylon paint, you just shoot him. Well, now who cleans up that mess? We have a man down in aisle 6. What? Krylon paint? Yeah. What'd you do? We shot him per Trump's orders. Now what?
Well,
Well, I'm not getting the body out of there. You call somebody. Call the coroner.
well, I mean, I don't even have to. I don't even. You know what? I don't even want to talk about him. I just. There are. It's a freaky fractious Friday. I want to leave happy.
Well, let's make a key and get ourselves some Camaros.
Nah, that's okay, Michael. My making keys for Camaro days are long gone. Maybe if they gave these kids, well, I was going to say maybe if they gave them a drag strip or something like that to do this stuff on, but
No, that's
that ain't gonna solve the problem.
that takes the illegality out of it.
Well, I'm suggesting that they don't steal. I'm see, but part of the problem is there's a thrill to stealing the car. There's a high that they get from stealing the car as well as doing the show for all their friends, and we're not going to stop it.
There's got to be an engineer somewhere in Detroit who said, but I thought it was going to be a good idea that we could make keys for cars. Yeah, it was a good idea, but you didn't think it through.
Stay in the house is what my advice is. Don't go out after 9 o'clock at night.
Or as they say, you should have stood in bed.
Stay in the house. All right, Michael. I'll see you Monday if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise.
The creek may rise a little. I don't know if the Lord has anything to do with it.
Yeah, I'm starting to get the feeling that the creek is going to go up seriously here as well. Well, stay dry. Don't go out without your booties on.
Put on your woolly knickers, Vinnie.
I'll see you on Monday if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise. Until then, baby, peace, love, Manischewitz.
What a wine.
See you, Mikey.
I'll see you in the high rise. We'll get our methadone.
Yeah.